What time is it there right now, and where are you watching from? I'm asking because the time you're experiencing this message, the location where you're sitting, even the exact moment your consciousness is receiving these words, none of it is random. You see, everything is connected to what I'm about to reveal to you about what really happens when you close your eyes tonight. You've been told that sleep is just your body resting, your brain processing memories, maybe some random dreams thrown in for good measure. But what if I told you that's the biggest lie you've ever been told? What if I told you that every single night when you drift off to sleep, your soul, your actual consciousness, leaves your physical body and travels to dimensions that the authorities, the systems, the very fabric of what we call normal society desperately wants to keep hidden from you? Tonight, when you close your eyes, you're not just going to sleep, you're about to embark on the most forbidden journey your soul has ever taken, and they've made sure you don't remember it when you wake up. Welcome back to the Eternal Library. The ancient mystery schools knew this secret, and they died protecting it, literally. The Egyptians called it the night journey of Ra, the Tibetans refer to it as Bardo Thodol, the traveling between realms, and the Hermetic texts speak of the soul's nightly exodus from the physical plane. But here's what they don't want you to know: when you sleep, you don't just dream randomly. Your consciousness, your soul, actually separates from your physical body and travels through what the ancients called the astral plane, visiting other dimensions, communicating with beings of higher consciousness, receiving downloads of cosmic information, and most importantly, remembering who you really are beyond this physical incarnation. The reason you wake up tired sometimes isn't because you didn't get enough physical rest. It's because your soul has been working all night long, traveling between dimensions, attending what I call soul school, where you're learning lessons that your conscious mind isn't supposed to remember, yet. But here's the secret they've been hiding from you, and it's going to change everything you thought you knew about sleep, dreams, and the nature of your own consciousness. Every single night when you enter what science calls REM sleep, your pineal gland, the seat of your soul that the ancients called the third eye, releases dimethyltryptamine, DMT, the same compound found in ayahuasca, the same molecule that shamans have used for thousands of years to communicate with spirit realms, and this naturally occurring release is your soul's ticket to travel beyond the veil of physical reality. The pharmaceutical industry, the medical establishment, they'll tell you it's just neurotransmitters, just brain chemistry, but what they won't tell you is that DMT is literally the molecule that allows your consciousness to slip out of your physical body and access what the Kabbalah calls the tree of life, the multidimensional structure of reality that exists beyond the five senses. And here's the part that's going to blow your mind: every single person on this planet, regardless of their beliefs, their religion, their level of spiritual awareness, experiences this soul travel every single night, but the vast majority wake up with no memory of where they've been, who they've spoken to, or what cosmic downloads they've received, because the electromagnetic frequencies being pumped into our environment through cell towers, Wi-Fi signals, and what they call smart technology is specifically designed to interfere with the brain's natural ability to retain these interdimensional memories. Think about it. Have you ever woken up with the strangest feeling that you were just somewhere completely different, talking to someone you felt you knew but couldn't place, or receiving information that felt more real than your waking life, only to have it slip away like water through your fingers the moment you tried to grasp it consciously? That's not your imagination. That's not just a dream. That's your soul returning from its nightly journey with cosmic intelligence that your conscious mind isn't equipped to process yet. The Tibetan Book of the Dead isn't just about what happens after you physically die. It's an instruction manual for what happens every single night when you sleep, because the Tibetan masters understood that sleep is practiced death, a nightly rehearsal for the ultimate transition of consciousness that we call physical death. When you enter deep sleep, your consciousness goes through the exact same stages that it will experience when you leave your physical body permanently, and this is why the ancients considered sleep to be sacred, why they created elaborate rituals around bedtime, why they understood that the quality of your sleep directly affects the evolution of your soul. But here's what's been hidden from you. During this nightly soul travel, you're not just floating around randomly in some ethereal space. You're actually attending what I call cosmic university, where your soul receives teachings from ascended masters, communicates with your spirit guides, reviews your karmic contracts, and most importantly, downloads information about your soul's mission that your conscious mind processes as intuition or gut feelings during your waking hours. The reason some people seem to have incredible intuitive abilities, the reason some individuals just know things without being able to explain how, is because they've learned to maintain a conscious bridge between their nightly soul travels and their waking consciousness. The ancient Egyptians called these people carriers, but what the ancient traditions knew as the Akashic Records, the cosmic library that contains every thought, every emotion, every experience of every soul that has ever existed. Your nightly dreams aren't just personal processing, they're you contributing to the cosmic database of human consciousness, uploading your daily experiences, your emotional responses, your spiritual insights into the greater web of collective human evolution. This is why certain dreams feel universal, why you can dream about places you've never been but that feel more familiar than your own bedroom, why sometimes you meet people in dreams who feel like family even though you've never seen them in your waking life. Because during sleep, your soul accesses the collective memory bank of all human experience, and sometimes you tap into the experiences of other souls, other lifetimes, other dimensional expressions of consciousness that are all part of the greater tapestry of who you really are beyond this single physical incarnation. But here's where it gets really mysterious, and this is the knowledge that's been banned, suppressed, and hidden from mainstream consciousness for thousands of years. When you sleep, your soul doesn't just travel randomly through the astral plane, it follows specific routes, visits specific locations, and communicates with specific beings based on your soul's evolutionary curriculum. Think of it like this. Just as your physical body goes to work or school during the day to learn and contribute, your soul has its own curriculum, its own schedule, its own assignments that it's working on during the night hours, and these assignments are directly related to your soul's purpose for incarnating in this physical reality at this specific time in human history. The ancient Hermetic principle as above, so below isn't just a mystical saying. It's a literal description of how your soul's nightly activities in the higher dimensions directly influence your daily experiences in the physical realm. When you wake up with a sudden insight about a problem you've been struggling with, when you have a dream that gives you the exact guidance you need for a difficult situation, when you meet someone new and feel like you've known them forever, these aren't coincidences. These are the direct results of your soul's work during sleep, where it's been communicating with other souls, receiving guidance from higher dimensional beings, and downloading the exact information you need for your spiritual evolution. The Sufi mystics called this sobit, the sacred communication that happens between souls when the ego mind is asleep, and they developed specific practices to maintain conscious awareness during these nightly soul communications. But here's the secret that the mystery schools protected with their lives. Your soul doesn't just travel to random locations during sleep, it returns to what I call your soul origin point, the specific dimensional frequency where your consciousness first individuated from the source of all consciousness. This is why certain meditation practices, certain types of music, certain natural environments can trigger such profound feelings of coming home even when you've never experienced them before in this lifetime. Because your soul recognizes the frequency signatures that match its origin point, the dimensional home base that it returns to every single night when you sleep. And here's the part that's going to revolutionize how you understand dreams. Every person, every animal, every plant, every seemingly inanimate object that appears in your dreams isn't just a random creation of your subconscious mind. They're actual consciousness encounters that your soul is having with other expressions of consciousness in the multidimensional reality that exists beyond physical perception. That person you dreamed about last night who felt so real, so familiar, so important, that was an actual soul communication, or real interaction with another consciousness that exists in the same multidimensional space that your soul travels to during sleep. The real reason they don't want you to know about your soul's nightly travels is because once you understand what's really happening when you sleep, you realize that you're not just a physical body having a spiritual experience. You're an infinite multidimensional being who has temporarily focused your consciousness into this physical reality for a specific purpose. And that purpose isn't just personal growth or individual evolution. You're here as part of a massive collective awakening that's happening on this planet right now. And your nightly soul travels are how you receive your assignments, your updates, your cosmic downloads for the role you're playing in this unprecedented transformation of human consciousness. The ancient Mayans understood this, which is why their calendar wasn't just tracking time, it was tracking the cosmic cycles of consciousness evolution, and according to their calculations, we're living in the time they called the return of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent that represents the marriage of Earth consciousness and cosmic consciousness, the awakening of humanity to its true multidimensional nature. Every night when you sleep, your soul is receiving updates about this collective awakening, downloading information about your specific role in the transformation that's happening on this planet. And when you wake up feeling like you need to change something about your life, when you suddenly lose interest in things that used to matter to you, when you feel called to learn new things, meet new people, move to new places, these aren't just personal preferences changing, these are your soul's assignments being downloaded into your conscious awareness through the bridge of sleep and dreams. But here's the most forbidden part of this. This is why so many people are having dreams about advanced technologies, about healing modalities that don't exist yet, about solutions to global problems that seem impossible from our current perspective. Because during sleep, your soul is actually communicating with future versions of human consciousness who are showing you what becomes possible when we remember our true multidimensional nature. The scientists call it precognitive dreaming, but what they don't understand is that time isn't linear in the dimensions that your soul travels to during sleep, and your consciousness is actually receiving guidance from probability timelines where humanity has awakened to its cosmic heritage and solved the problems we're currently facing through the application of consciousness technologies that we're only beginning to remember. Now, here's something that's going to completely shift your understanding of what we call nightmares and difficult dreams. These aren't random fear projections or psychological processing. They're actually your soul's way of clearing karmic debris, healing ancestral trauma, and transmuting lower vibrational energies not just for yourself, but for your entire soul lineage. When you have a dream where you're being chased, where you're falling, where you're fighting some dark entity, your soul is literally doing battle in the astral dimensions, clearing energetic patterns that have been passed down through your family line, your soul group, sometimes even your entire species for generations. The ancient shamans understood this, which is why they considered dreamers to be warriors, why they developed elaborate practices for conscious dreaming, why they knew that the work you do in the dream state directly affects the healing and evolution of not just your individual consciousness, but the collective consciousness of humanity. But here's the secret that modern psychology has completely missed. When you have a nightmare, when you experience fear in a dream, your soul isn't being victimized by some external force. It's actually volunteering to transmute lower vibrational energies by experiencing them consciously and then transforming them through the power of your awakened awareness. This is why the most spiritually advanced souls often have the most intense dreams, the most challenging nighttime experiences, because they're doing heavy lifting in the astral dimensions, clearing karmic patterns not just for themselves but for the collective healing of humanity. And here's something that will revolutionize how you approach difficult dreams. Every challenging experience your soul has during sleep is actually an opportunity for quantum healing, for instant transformation of consciousness patterns that might take years or even lifetimes to heal through conventional means. When you learn to maintain conscious awareness during challenging dreams, when you remember that you're an infinite being having a temporary experience, you can literally transform the energy of the dream in real time, and this transformation ripples out through all dimensions of reality, healing not just your current lifetime but past life traumas, future life potentials, and parallel dimensional expressions of your consciousness that exist simultaneously across the multidimensional matrix of reality. The Tibetan practice of dream yoga isn't just about lucid dreaming, it's about becoming a conscious agent of transformation in the dimensions where thoughts become reality instantly, where the power of awakened consciousness can literally rewrite the karmic codes that govern physical experience. This is why some people wake up from intense dreams feeling completely different, feeling like something fundamental has shifted in their consciousness, because their soul has literally rewritten some aspect of their energetic blueprint during the dream state, and this rewriting affects every level of their being from the quantum to the cosmic. The suppression of dream knowledge isn't accidental, it's part of a systematic program to keep humanity disconnected from its cosmic nature, because when you understand that your soul is traveling to higher dimensions every single night, receiving cosmic intelligence and communicating with advanced beings, you realize that you're not dependent on external authorities for guidance, wisdom, or spiritual evolution. You have direct access to the cosmic internet of consciousness every time you close your eyes. The ancient oracle traditions, from Delphi to Dodona, weren't just people with psychic abilities. They were individuals who had mastered the art of maintaining conscious awareness during the soul's nightly travels, and they could access the cosmic database of information on demand, which is why their prophecies and guidance were so accurate and transformational. But here's what the mystery schools knew that modern spirituality has forgotten: the quality of your physical life, your emotional well-being, your spiritual evolution, your ability to manifest your highest potential. All of this is directly connected to the quality of your soul's nightly travels and your ability to integrate the cosmic downloads you receive during sleep into your waking consciousness. This is why the ancients developed such elaborate practices around sleep preparation, why they created sacred sleeping spaces, why they used specific herbs, crystals, and sounds to enhance the soul's ability to travel consciously during sleep. The modern world has turned sleep into an unconscious necessity rather than the sacred practice it was always meant to be, and this disconnection from the spiritual dimension of sleep is one of the primary reasons why so many people feel lost, confused, and disconnected from their purpose in this lifetime. When you begin to approach sleep as a conscious spiritual practice, when you start preparing for your soul's nightly journey with intention and awareness, when you create sacred space for your consciousness to travel and learn and heal during the hours of physical rest, you literally transform. The cosmic downloads you receive during conscious sleep become available to your waking consciousness as intuition, inspiration, creative solutions, and spiritual insights that guide you toward your highest potential and your soul's specific mission in this incarnation. And here's the most powerful part: when you learn to remember and integrate your nightly soul travels, you begin to live from a place of cosmic consciousness even while navigating the physical world, and this integration of multidimensional awareness is what the ancient traditions called enlightenment, not some abstract spiritual achievement, but the practical ability to function as a cosmic being while incarnated in physical form. Here's something that's going to blow your mind about the connection between sleep and what we call psychic abilities. Every single person is naturally telepathic, clairvoyant, and capable of accessing information from across time and space, but these abilities only function naturally when the linear mind is relaxed, which is why most psychic experiences happen during sleep, meditation, or altered states of consciousness. Your soul's nightly travels aren't separate from your psychic development, they are your psychic development, because every night when your consciousness leaves your physical body and travels through the multidimensional matrix of reality, you're exercising and strengthening the same perceptual abilities that psychics use consciously during waking hours. The reason children often have more vivid dreams, more imaginary friends, more natural psychic experiences is because their rational mind hasn't been programmed yet to shut down these multidimensional perceptions, and their soul's nightly travels are still consciously accessible to their waking awareness. But here's the forbidden knowledge that mystery schools protected for centuries: the same electromagnetic frequencies that are now saturating our environment through technology aren't just interfering with our ability to remember dreams. They're actually blocking our natural psychic abilities by disrupting the pineal gland's ability to function as the interdimensional communication device it was designed to be. The ancient Egyptians knew that the pineal gland was literally an antenna for cosmic consciousness, which is why they depicted it as the Eye of Horus in their sacred texts, and they developed specific practices to keep this cosmic antenna functioning at optimal capacity. When your pineal gland is functioning properly, your soul's nightly travels become conscious experiences that you can remember, integrate, and use for guidance in your waking life. And this is when what we call psychic abilities begin to manifest naturally as extensions of your multidimensional awareness. But here's the secret that will revolutionize your spiritual development. You don't need to develop psychic abilities. You need to remember the psychic abilities that are your natural birthright as a multidimensional being. And the fastest way to remember these abilities is to consciously participate in your soul's nightly travels through practices that the ancient traditions called dream incubation and conscious sleep. When you approach sleep with specific questions, intentions, and requests for guidance, your soul uses the nightly travel time to access exactly the information you need, and this information comes back into your waking consciousness as sudden insights, creative inspiration, solutions to problems, and intuitive guidance that feels like it's coming from a source of wisdom far beyond your normal thinking mind, because it is. The real reason death has been made into such a fearful concept in modern consciousness is because when you understand what really happens to your soul when you sleep, you realize that physical death is just a more permanent version of what you experience every single night. Your consciousness leaving the physical body and traveling to dimensions of reality that exist beyond the five senses. The ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead wasn't a guide for dead people, it was a guide for living people to understand the multidimensional nature of consciousness and to prepare for the ultimate transition by practicing conscious death and rebirth every single night during sleep. But here's the knowledge that's been hidden from humanity for thousands of years. When you master the art of conscious sleep, when you learn to maintain awareness during your soul's nightly travels, you literally become immortal in consciousness because you realize that your identity, your awareness, your essential being exists independently of the physical body and continues to exist across all dimensions of reality regardless of whether you're incarnated in physical form or not. This is why the great spiritual masters throughout history have spoken about dying before you die, not as a morbid fascination with death, but as the recognition that when you consciously experience the separation of consciousness from physical form during sleep, you realize that what you really are cannot be killed, cannot be destroyed, cannot be limited by the boundaries of physical existence. And here's the most profound part of this understanding. When you realize through direct experience during sleep that your consciousness is immortal and multidimensional, you stop living from fear and start living from love, because you understand that every experience, every challenge, every joy, every sorrow is just a temporary expression in the infinite dance of consciousness exploring itself through countless forms and dimensions. The near-death experience researchers have documented that people who have clinically died and come back consistently report that the experience of leaving the physical body during death is identical to experiences they remember from deep sleep or meditation, because consciousness separation from physical form is a natural function that your soul practices every single night. This is why people who have had near-death experiences often report that they're no longer afraid of death, no longer attached to material possessions, no longer motivated by ego-driven desires, because they've remembered through direct experience that physical life is just one expression of their infinite, eternal, multidimensional existence. Now, here's where this knowledge becomes practical and transformational for your daily life. When you understand that your soul is receiving cosmic downloads every single night during sleep, you can begin to work consciously with this process to accelerate your spiritual evolution, manifest your highest potential, and align your physical life with your soul's mission. The ancient practice of dream incubation that was used in the temples of Asclepius wasn't just about healing physical ailments, it was about using the soul's nightly travels to access cosmic intelligence for solving any problem, answering any question, or receiving guidance for any challenge you might be facing in your waking life. But here's the secret technique that mystery schools taught only to their most advanced initiates. Before you go to sleep, you can program your soul's nightly journey by setting specific intentions. asking specific questions, and requesting specific types of cosmic downloads that will be delivered to your consciousness during the dream state and integrated into your waking awareness upon awakening. This isn't just positive thinking or wishful manifestation. This is working consciously with the natural function of your soul's multidimensional intelligence to access information, wisdom, and guidance that exists beyond the limitations of your physical brain's knowledge base. When you approach sleep with conscious intention, when you prepare for your soul's nightly journey with specific requests for guidance, healing, or cosmic downloads, you transform sleep from an unconscious necessity into a powerful spiritual practice that accelerates your evolution and aligns your life with your highest potential. And here's the technique that will revolutionize your relationship with sleep and dreams. Create a sacred sleep ritual where you consciously prepare for your soul's nightly journey by clearing your energy field, setting your intentions, expressing gratitude for the cosmic intelligence you're about to receive, and specifically requesting that you remember and integrate whatever cosmic downloads your soul receives during the night hours. The ancient Egyptians used specific prayers, the Tibetans used mantras, the Native Americans used sage and sacred songs, but the essential element is approaching sleep as a conscious spiritual practice rather than just a biological function. When you begin to work consciously with your soul's nightly travels, you'll notice that your intuition becomes stronger, your creative inspiration becomes more frequent, your problem-solving abilities become more advanced, and your overall sense of purpose and direction in life becomes clearer, because you're consciously accessing the cosmic guidance system that your soul uses every single night. As you prepare to close your eyes tonight, remember this: you're not just going to sleep, you're embarking on the most sacred journey your soul will take. A journey that connects you to the infinite wisdom of the cosmos, the healing power of multidimensional consciousness, and the profound truth of who you really are beyond the limitations of physical existence. The knowledge I've shared with you today has been banned, hidden, and suppressed for thousands of years because it reveals your true power as a cosmic being incarnated in human form for a specific mission at this crucial time in human evolution. When you understand that your soul travels to higher dimensions every single night, receiving cosmic downloads and communicating with advanced beings, you realize that you have access to unlimited wisdom, unlimited healing potential, and unlimited creative power through the sacred portal of conscious sleep. Tonight, when you drift off to sleep, set the intention to remember your soul's journey, to receive the cosmic guidance you need for your highest evolution, and to bring back the wisdom that will not only transform your own life but contribute to the collective awakening of human consciousness that's happening on this planet right now. The ancient masters knew what you're remembering now, that sleep is not the absence of consciousness, but the expansion of consciousness into its true multidimensional nature, and when you approach sleep as the sacred practice it was always meant to be, you unlock the cosmic intelligence that is your birthright as an infinite being of light temporarily focused in physical form. Sweet dreams, cosmic traveler, your soul has work to do tonight.